So one thing I plan on eventually doing is buying me some land. Now, I want to buy land for a few reasons. The most obvious, to live. Um, but I want to start my own farm. And I want to make it a somewhat successful, a large scale homestead small farm. Uh, I definitely want at least 8 heads of cattle. I want at least 40 goats. uh, for both dairy and meat. Uh, Same with the cattle, dairy and meat. Uh, Cows would be more so for meat than dairy. And goats would be more so for dairy than meat, but they'd be used for both. Um, I want to get quite a few beehives. Uh, Start canning my own honey. I want to grow me a bunch of fruits. I want to grow apples, peaches, blueberries, blackberries. Like, and when I say a bunch, I mean I want a whole orchard of apple trees. I want a whole orchard of orange trees, like 60 plus trees of each tree fruit. And I want about 100 or so blackberry bushes, 100 or so blueberry bushes. Um, and I want to start making my own jams, my own pies, my own everything. I want to get a greenhouse. I want to get a few greenhouses. One for planting wheat all year round. One for planting corn all year round. One for planting vegetables all year round. One will be for sunflowers all year round. Like, I want to plant these plants all year round, and greenhouse would be the best way of doing that because you can set it to the right temperature, the right environment to grow these foods. And I want to make my own chicken feed. I also want to make my own breads. One thing I want to do, I want to build me a big old smoker, a brick smoker, for dehydrating meats, to making jerky, smoking potatoes to make homemade potato tips. I said potato tips, potato chips. Uh, I want to make homemade potato chips, homemade breads, make pizza. I want to open me my own convenience store and my own bakery on my property, basically. Where you can go in, you go buy your milk, you buy your eggs, have like bags of potato chips you can buy. About, I'd say about 5 pound bags of potato chips you can buy. Um, have like different flavored potato chips, barbecue, salt and vinegar. There's different stuff like that. Uh, I basically want to open my own gas station, where it has everything that a gas station would have, plus your basic eggs, milk, meat. Have a freezer section for keeping meat and stuff like that. That's what I want to do. But everything, rather than getting it shipped in, everything is made and packaged on my property. Um, I would have to get a business license to do some of the things I want to do. Other things could be just things that do like as a homestead. Um, but one of the biggest things I'm thinking about doing now as I'm talking about it is just opening up an actual gas station to sell gas. Because I already plan on eventually getting gas pumps put on whatever property I get to basically keep all my equipment filled with gas. Um, of course, I'm going to have lawnmowers, tractors, all my vehicles. Um, I'd have to have like actual gas pumps on the land, get a truck to come fill it up every so often. Uh, where I don't have to drive a tractor or take and fill up a bunch of jugs of gas. I can just fill it right there, right up about a mile away from the field, or a couple miles away from the field, just on the property. Fill it up, put gas in it, drive it, plow the field, and be done. Um, but now that I'm thinking about opening up a convenience store like this, why not just get a couple of little pump stations set up? Figure out how much it costs to do that. Get a business license, be able to sell gas there. Um, I don't know. It's something I'd have to look into. I definitely need to buy me at least a 100 acre property to be able to do this. I need enough property for the animals. I need like a little spot to build like a brick convenience store, like small little brick convenience store with like a storage area in the back to put stuff at. Any suggestions on names, by the way? What should I call this place? Because I know exactly what I want to do, but as far as a name for it, I don't know. I wonder if I could actually make a profit off of this place. Have like a little. I definitely want to build me a couple ponds on my property. Um, I'd have one pond designated just for me, but I have like a few ponds for bass, catfish, and stuff like that where people come pay like $5 an entry fee to just fish all day long. Um, come pay $5. Uh, get your pole, your rod. If you have a boat, bring a boat type thing. And they just fish all day long. But I do want one pond where nothing for at least a couple of years. I want to let fish get huge in this pond for at least about 4 to 5 years. Uh, is taken home. It all catch and release. Just let the fish get a decent size. I want to see how big if you let catfish and bass just grow out their entire life. See how big they'll actually get. Because I've seen some pretty decent bass and pretty decent catfish. Which is another thing I do. I'd probably sell catfish. Catfish you probably sell for a decent price. Um, I probably won't allow people to just. I don't know. Probably what I do is charge people $5 to fish, but charge them about $12 to fish and keep the fish. Um, like if you get any fish you want to keep, No, that won't work. I need to find a way where I can just allow people to fish and take fish home, but also a way where I can actually sell catfish. The only way I can think of that is keeping a catfish pond separate and not allowing people to fish in the catfish pond, and breeding the catfish myself. And then the actual just coming and enjoying a fishing day would be other fish like bass and stuff. But catfish could actually sell at a decent price. So I don't know if I just want to let people just fish a catfish pond for like $5. Especially decent sized catfish. But yeah, I want to start a bakery, a pizza joint, a sub joint, um, where all the meats are farmed on my own land, all the vegetables and fruits are farmed on my own land, the wheats and grains to make the bread is farmed on my own land, eggs on my own land, uh, make homemade potato chips, homemade jerky. Uh, I wonder how salmon jerky tastes. I've heard of salmon jerky, but I've never had it. Probably make my own salmon jerky. Um, Maybe even have like a little steak restaurant type deal. And of course, it'd be like a little mom pop store where it's all family owned. We might hire on help when we need help, but there'd be as little people on the outside working as possible. It'd all be like family owned type thing, family owned, family run. Be something I pass down to my kids and their kids and their kids and their kids, so on and so on. Along with the whole property. And then eventually, I'd honestly, once I'm in, if I have this property set before I'm retired and everything like that, I'd eventually in retirement expand on it, buy more surrounding properties, and have my kids do the same thing as they get older. Uh, like similar how they did in the Bible. Back in the Bible days, and this ain't a biblical lesson. This ain't talking about religion. It is, but it isn't. It's just more of a educational thing. What they did way back in the day. Back in the day, a father, and the reason why I say Bible days because it actually talks about this in the Bible. I'm sure there's other instances throughout all of history where they do stuff like this. Um, but back in the day, is a father would go out and he'd settle. He'd buy his own land. And as he got older, he would build upon that land. When he got to a certain age where he felt like he didn't have much time left, he would pass it all down to his oldest son. And if he didn't have a son, then he'd pass it down to his next of kin. But it was generally always, if he had sons, it was always the oldest son. that he passed everything down to. Well, when his son, and his oldest son inherits all the money, all the land, all the earthly possessions that his father had, and his son would basically go like, well, y'all are still my family. I ain't gonna throw y'all out on the streets. Y'all are still going to live on this property. It's just my land now. Uh, and he'd give his family shelter and food and stuff like that and take care of them the same way his father took care of them, and so on and so on. But he would actually go out and buy more land. Uh, this is actually why at one point in time, Jews actually owned a large majority of the Middle East. They owned Egypt, they owned Samaria, they owned just about everything in the Middle East. Of course, uh, some stuff happened and ended up getting split up, but off the subject, uh, the oldest son would go out and buy more and more land, and he would make a profit, uh, getting more and more money. And over the years, each generation had more than the last. They still had everything from all the previous generations, but they also had stuff they built on as well, creating a family wealth. Which is kind of what I want to do. I want to build as I go. I want to buy more and more and more and build upon that, making a profit, and then passing that on to my kids and teaching them how to build upon it while they're young. Teaching them the importance of building upon it and encouraging them to go out and do the same thing. Don't just, whenever I pass, go sell every bit of it. Uh, really try not to sell any of it at all. Build upon it. Make it better for the next generation. And they don't necessarily have to go out and buy more land next to it. They could do stuff such as, well, uh, we have all this empty land over here that we're not really doing nothing with it. Let's turn this into a hotel. Or let's turn this into a skate park or a pool or something like that. Let's build a pond here. Let's invest in sheep farming. Uh, let's do something to improve upon this land. That's what I want to teach my kids. Um, improve upon the stuff that's giving to you. Don't take and sell your inheritance. Uh, improve upon it so that way your kids have more. So that way their kids have more than what your kids have. So that way your kids have more than what your kids had, or and so on and so on. That's what I want to do. Make each generation better than the last. Uh, I also want to become very independent. I don't want to depend on the government for work. I want to be able to supply my own money, supply my own food, supply my own everything. And open me up a small business like this completely independent is probably the best way to go about that.